Now, 7:30 in the morning on election day, my phone rings, and I get a call from one of my friends who is at a polling location, and it's basically being told that he has to vote provisionally. He brought in every single form of proof that he could bring to show that he was a registered voter. He brought his ID, he brought his sample ballot, he brought his voter registration card in the mail. Still, they could not find his name on the rolls. Ultimately, they had to make him vote provisional. Finally, after asking, after he had cast his ballot as provisional, finally did they check the other voter rolls, the supplemental voter rolls of new voters, as well as at other tables, and they found his name there. Now, I wish I could say that this was an isolated incident, but this incident was far too common on election day, especially around a lot of the major universities around Los Angeles. The University of Southern California, the University of California, Los Angeles, California State University, Northridge. The list goes on and on and on of students who had registered to vote, but their names couldn't be found on the rolls either because they were on another roll or they didn't check the supplemental rolls. Now, I know a lot of my fellow colleagues at other colleges have spent countless hours registering voters, making sure to inform voters of their rights, if they're no party preference, how to request a crossover ballot. And to have a situation like this is completely unacceptable, and it is appalling. Furthermore, at one polling location at around the University of Southern California, Vermont Avenue Elementary School, we had the county, which had not sent an entire voter roll to that polling location, meaning that if a student were to walk in there and was on that missing list, they would be made to vote provisional. It's as if they weren't there. This is outrageous, and this cannot be allowed to happen. Buenos días, mi nombre es Ryan López, soy estudiante en la Universidad del Sur de California y les quiero decir sobre lo que pasó, sobre lo que observé el día de elección. A las 7:30 de la mañana recibí una llamada de uno de mis amigos que estuvo en una locación para votar y que no pudo votar. Trajo cada forma para comprobar que fue votante. Trajo su identificación, trajo su boleta ejemplar, trajo su tarjeta que dice que está registrado, pero todavía le dijeron que no estaba en la lista para votar. Lo hicieron que votara con boleta provisional y después de que votó con boleta provisional, encontraron su nombre en otra lista en esa locación. Me gustaría decirles que ese fue el único incidente ese día, pero esto era muy común en todas las alrededor de las universidades grandes de Los Ángeles. La Universidad del Sur de California, la Universidad de California, Los Ángeles, la Universidad Cal State Northridge. Todas estas universidades, los estudiantes han estado trabajando por horas y horas y semanas, meses para registrar a votantes y asegurarse que sepan sus derechos, cómo recibir una boleta demócrata si fueran sin preferencia de partido. Entonces, para que sea una situación como esta, completamente inaceptable y algo tiene que cambiar. Finalmente, cuando fui yo a una locación a la primaria Vermont Elementary en Los Ángeles, vi que el condado no le había mandado a esa locación una lista de votantes enteras. Eso significa que si una persona entrara y estuviera en esa lista que no estaba, es como que si no existieran, que nunca hubieran votado. Como dije, esto no es aceptable y tiene que cambiar. Muchas gracias.
My name is Sarnoff, S-A-R-N-O-F-F. We're here today to speak to members of the Board of Supervisors about what we feel are gross problems in the elections. Shame on Associated Press for declaring Hillary Clinton the winner on the day before the June 7th California primary election, and shame on MSNBC and CNN for grabbing the story and running with it. This story went global, and it all happened before a single vote was cast. AP impacted what happened next in very negative and misleading ways. To millions of new voters in California and viewers around the world, it sure sounded like it was over. So what did happen next? How did thought the race was over. I know because I was still out talking to voters on June 6th and 7th after the AP release. Some voters in Washington, D.C. today may also be wondering about what's happening on their voting day today. The D.C. election certainly has not been in the news much. In a June 12th LA Times article by Kathleen Decker, and now lessons for November, the writer got it all wrong. Her story of the low turnout of new voters is simply not true. If you factor in the 3.5 million still in process of being counted, that's the last of the mail-in and provisional ballots cast on June 7th, it was reported it will be about 47% of all registered voters in California. A huge turnout for a California primary. Much more is at stake in this election than any. Hearing the passionate voices of new voters, especially young people, as we move closer to the conventions, is increasingly important. The U.S. has among the lowest percentage of registered voters of any developed country. Of those, the percentage of voters voting is low. We can and must do more to make voting easier and more transparent. I would like to urge the Board of Supervisors to move quickly to provide whatever is needed to facilitate the count of remaining unprocessed ballots in days and not weeks. Justice delayed is, after all is said and done, justice denied. We can and must do better. Thank you for your time and interest in all things. Thank you.
My name is Todd Jones. I'm a physicist at the Jim Propulsion Laboratory, and I love data very much. So I signed up to be a election poll, an exit poll worker to monitor the voters coming out of UCLA polling place. I love data, so I wanted to see what was really happening in this election. So an opportunity to respect that. Let's start with that definition. Election fraud is when a voter's vote is not counted. What I saw was many young voters coming out of that election, out of that polling place, holding the provisional ballots. I'd estimate 3 out of 4 of the young voters exiting, 3 out of 4 of all of the voters exiting that polling place carried the provisional ballot. And the reason they carried that provisional ballot was they had signed up, they had registered to vote recently, and there was a list called the blue list. Their name was supposed to be on that list, and that list was not present at the polling place. The polling place captain had called into Norwalk to get that list delivered. It was never delivered all day long. So every single voter who had signed up with registered recently had to be given a provisional ballot from that location. 3 out of 4 of new young voters were all denied the right to vote. That is election fraud. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you everybody for coming. This will conclude the press conference aspect. We are now going to go inside to give our testimony to the supervisors ourselves, and hopefully many of you can stay for that. Hopefully many of you can stay. Thank you all for coming.